Time now for our business update, and for that we're joined in studio by Catherine Bennett. Catherine, it looks like Amazon is in hot water over potential leaks of confidential information.
That's right. The US company has actually opened an investigation into claims that employees accepted bribes in return for private data. A report in the Wall Street Journal found that Amazon workers were helping online sellers delete negative reviews and restore banned accounts. An Amazon spokesman said that they would take legal action if they found employees trading data for cash.
Meanwhile, there's the Salzburg summit coming up this week, and apparently more news about Brexit.
That's right, and it's not necessarily good news. The British Chambers of Commerce has released new figures on forecast GDP growth today. Wassim Cornet tells us about the economic outlook for Brexit as it stands.
The threat of a no-deal Brexit is weighing down on UK economic growth. That is the main takeaway from a new growth forecast by the British Chambers of Commerce. The organisation has downgraded their expected GDP growth for the UK from 1.3 to 1.1% for this year and from 1.4 to 1.3% for 2019. In a statement, the Director General of the BCC said the downgrade was spurred by uncertainty surrounding the UK's future relationship with the EU.
Despite strong performances by some firms, the UK economy as a whole is set to grow at a snail's pace. Brexit uncertainty continues to weigh heavily on many firms, as most of the practical questions facing trading businesses remain unanswered.
Last week, Bank of England Governor Mark Carney spoke to Theresa May's cabinet, warning them of chaos if the UK crashes out of the EU without a deal. According to the BofE, inflation and unemployment would rise, and house prices could tumble by as much as a third.
We have been working on making sure that our institutions are, those institutions that we continue to supervise, that they're prepared for all potential contingencies, a recession where monetary policy credibility is lost and therefore interest rates have to go up at the same time that the economy slows dramatically, that there's dramatic house price falls.
EU leaders will meet in Salzburg later this week for an informal summit on migration. However, they are also expected to continue negotiations on Brexit, addressing issues such as trade and the border with Ireland.
And now let's take a look at the markets. In Asia, markets are trending downwards after US President Donald Trump announced over the weekend that he would be imposing new tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods as early as this week. Tokyo's Nikkei is closed for a public holiday, but the other markets are in the red, with the Shanghai Composite and Kospi hovering around the minus 1% mark, and the Hang Seng has slumped by over 1.5%. And over in Europe, the markets are following suit. The CAC 40 and FTSE are both down by 0.2%, and the DAX has fallen by just over 0.5%. And now some of the business headlines for you at this hour. Air France KLM welcomes its first ever foreign CEO today. The French-Dutch company is probably quite looking forward to meeting new Canadian boss Ben Smith, not least of all the trade unions. Smith is going to have to hit the ground running, facing demands from French workers to hike their salaries and focus on expansion at Air France rather than the more profitable KLM. And French President Emmanuel Macron has changed his mind about removing an exit tax on capital gains. He had previously promised to get rid of the tax, which would require entrepreneurs or investors with more than $800,000 in assets to pay capital gains for up to 15 years after leaving France. Now the government has decided to replace it with an anti-abuse tax on assets sold within 2 years of someone leaving the country. And just in time for London Fashion Week, French luxury brand Chanel has announced that it will set up its global office in the UK. The company said that London is centrally situated for their prime markets, and the new location will help the brand reorganise its business structure. Good news, then, for other UK-based designers who fear chaos in their supply chains after Brexit.
And finally, Catherine, for this business update, some news about Canada's fledgling marijuana industry.
That's right. If you were thinking of investing in the marijuana industry, you might change your mind. Obviously, the US does have strict anti-drug laws, so it's perhaps not surprising that people owning, selling or producing marijuana could be refused entry to the States, even if it will become legal in Canada. What is a surprise, however, is that people investing in the industry could be targeted too, because it's seen as facilitating the illicit drugs trade. News which might mean some investors actually steer well clear.
Okay, Catherine, thanks a lot for that business update. Time for us to turn our attention